Okay, I don't even know where to begin with this video. So yesterday, on September 29th, 2019, Boston, the city of Boston, they flew the Chinese Communist flag. So why am I talking about it? Well, if you watch my videos and you kind of get a little bit kind of info about me, it's the communists are not so friendly. So it really confuses me. So to start this video, I had to talk about the two flags that were rejected by Boston. So Boston flew the Chinese Communist flag, and then they rejected two: the Christian flag and the straight pride flag, which I'm going to show after I read a little bit of this article. So it really kind of makes me puzzle why they rejected those two flags, and I believe the argument that you're going to hear is the fact that the two groups are hate groups, or they're Nazis, or whatever they come up. So but hold that thought. So I want to read this article that is from news.com.au. So it talks about the Uyghur people, and the fact that Boston champion social justice, and it's a very blue state and a very progressive city. So China's dystopian oppression of its Uyghur ethnic minority groups continues to shock the world. So why isn't anyone doing anything about it? Satellite photos have exposed the rapid construction of a vast network of prison-like facilities across China's northwestern province of Xinjiang. The West calls them internment camps. China calls them vocational education facilities. So what's in a name? When it comes to the Uyghur population at the heart of the project, it's a matter of life or death. So I'm going to stop for a moment. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. I looked it up. I think it's Uyghur or Uyghur. Anyway, Beijing's assertion that these are benevolent training facilities is crumbling in the face of photos and footage of high-wall, barbed wire, covered security tower festool facilities. Not to mention recent footage showing 400 bound and blindfolded Uyghur prisoners being loaded into railway carts. Dr. Margaret Clark of the Australian National University's National Security College says Australia must take a stand. The CCP's ideological framing of the re-education camps amounts to a racialized politics of exclusion that seeks to isolate and then transform Uyghurs and other ethnic minorities into normal Chinese citizens, he say. We must recognize that this goes beyond the camps themselves. The entire region is a domain of unfreedom, unparalleled in the world today, where all aspects of daily life, certainly if you are Uyghur, are monitored and controlled by the state. Organ harvesting. The horror doesn't end there. The UN Human Rights Council has been told that China is killing religious and ethnic minorities and harvesting their organs. The China Tribunal, which heard evidence from human rights investigators, medical experts, and witnesses, concluded there was clear evidence the crime was taking place. Forced organ harvesting from prisoners of conscience, including the religious and ethnic minorities of Falun Gong and Uyghurs, has been committed for years throughout China. On a significant scale, senior lawyer Hamid Sabi told the UN. He said the practice involved hundreds of thousands of victims, and the crimes against humanity had been proven beyond reasonable doubt. Mr. Sabi described the practice as one of the worst mass atrocities of the century. The tribunal said detainees were killed to order cut open while still alive for their kidneys, livers, hearts, lungs, cornea, and skin to be removed and turned into commodities for sale. That's absolutely disgusting. China has repeatedly denied unethically transplanting organs and said it stopped using organs from executed prisoners in 2015. The excuse. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo accused China of attempting to use terrorism as an excuse to erase minority religions and cultures. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Yang Xuan counters, saying the Muslims being held in detention camps are being part of de-radicalization process. These measures are no different in the nature from the de-radicalization and preventive counterterrorism measures taken by many other countries, including the United States, Mr. Gang told journalists earlier this week. The lies of U.S. politicians can't deceive the world and only further reveals their ulterior political goals. The ANU, Dr. Clark, said this was an argument that the Australian government must counter through leading a broad coalition of states and voicing their concerns. Australia must focus its lobby on members of the Global South, Middle East, and so on, he said. This cannot just be a Western-led effort because it's too easy for Beijing to deflect as double standards, imperialism, or simply as an expression of U.S. new Cold War rhetoric. But it's a battle Beijing is well prepared for. So I'm not going to read the article. Like I said, I'm going to link the article in the description below so you guys can finish reading it. It goes on about Mike Pompeo and gives you much information about the Uyghur people. But I wanted to show you guys the two flags that was projected by Boston. So the flag right here from Super Happy Fun America. So there's a flag right there. So if you guys don't know about the Super Happy Fun America, they held a straight pride parade in Boston in August, back in August, and it was very controversial. They had Milo Yiannopoulos as the Grand Marshal, and it made headlines, and a lot of people were making the argument that they were Nazis and so forth. And the second flag is this flag. It's from the Camp Constitution. It's a Christian flag, and it was not allowed to fly in the city of Boston in 2017 and 2018. So if you're looking at this flag, it's just a Christian flag, and then you have the straight pride flag, which is just the male and female gender. So it doesn't. I don't understand it. So a lot of people can make a counter argument and say, hey, Boston can fly whatever they want. It's their First Amendment right. Okay, fair enough. So why is it that Super Fun Happy America and the Christian flag was rejected? Is Super Happy Fun America and the Christian organization harvesting organs and ethically cleansing groups? You know, of course, you can say, well, they had a history. I'm talking about the Christian. I'm not talking about Super Fun Happy America. The Christians have a history of oppressing lesbian, gays, bisexuals, and trans. Okay, fine. But that doesn't make any sense, because by your logic and me reading the article about the Chinese committing human rights violation, it doesn't make any sense. You can't reject one flag and put up the other, not knowing the history of it. And to me, I think it's just Boston, just being, especially the mayor, being uneducated about communism and communist China. Because, you know, if you really read back to Mao Zedong, they were ruthless. They were not friendly people. The communists is not about peace and harmony, so it doesn't really make any sense. So if Boston rejects the Christian flag and Super Fun Happy America flag because of bigotry and hate, you know, it doesn't make any sense. It's illogical and it's hypocritical, in my personal opinion, and it just doesn't make any sense. And they're being like China and suppressing these two groups' freedom of expression and freedom to be themselves, and I hope they win. The Christian Camp Constitution is suing the city of Boston for religious discrimination. So there was a counter-protest from, you know, and people need to speak up. And it's the fact that, in my personal opinion, it's uneducated about communism, especially in Boston, because there's a lot of protests going on in that city constantly, and you see people just waving the communist flag like it's okay. Like, could you imagine the Nazi asking for their flag to be flown? So I'm not really sure they did, but to reject a flag, these two flags, on the grounds of bigotry, hate, and racism, then you shouldn't be flying that Chinese communist flag. So it doesn't make any sense. And that's just, it's just wrong in so many ways, because it's just a human rights violation for these two groups. And hopefully a lot of more people speak up, and that things like this doesn't happen here in the USA.